All right, I am excited. We're doing a Los Angeles, West Virginia video interview here, east to west coast. Roland, please introduce yourself.
Sure, I'm Dr. Rollan Roberts. I'm the CEO of The Prompting. It's a philanthropic organization focused on helping influencers and influencing the influencers to win in life, business, and sports.
So, having getting to know you a little bit over the last couple of years and going through this, you probably have a few answers for this. What has been your most challenging leadership experience that you've had?
Sure. There are two that really stick out in my mind. One was whenever as a CEO, and the other one was leading myself. And those were the two biggest personal challenges. And the main one is whenever I stepped into a 29-year-old company that was once a $250 million company. It had declined every single year for 15 years. They had not had a growth month literally in that 15 years. So every single month for 15 straight years, they had declined. And I was tasked with the average customer age was 62, 63. Most of them were obviously in their late 30s and early whenever they joined the company and started, being a purchaser. So they had a loyal customer base, but it was an aging customer base, and they weren't able to go a different direction. And so the most challenging aspect to that was we have to get an entirely new market. But in all its previous attempts to get a new market alienated the existing market and made them want to go somewhere else. So the challenge was do not forsake and do not alienate the bread and butter, what's at least keeping the doors open. And at the same time, take us back to the glory days. Help us rise again. Get the new market, get the new products, but do that in a way. And usually those are polar opposites. That's the reason it's creating it. So that was the biggest leadership challenge that I had because that's not just a product solution. That's not just a marketing solution. That is a people solution. It is communicating and helping the existing market know that we love and appreciate them, and we're not going to forsake them and keep taking away from them just to grow. And so we successfully did that. We dwindled the product offerings from 37 down to 3, and it allowed us to and here was the guiding principle, by the way, that I used to help them feel loved, because they had a history of feeling like the company just kept taking things away, and so they felt like an abused child almost. And what I did was come to the realization that we don't have to take things away; we can just stop marketing them. So we said, here's our Excel spreadsheet of products that you can call in and order, but our website, all of our marketing, all of our effort, all of our dollars are going to be focused on our new product offering, where we're going and attracting this new market. So it allowed them to feel whole. And I created a brand just for the kind of the old school products that I did not want necessarily marketed to the public. And so they had a home, and we had to give them that space to be able to win. And of course, we had the first growth month that company had in 15 years after 90 days of coming in and being the CEO of that company. And then the second one was a leadership challenge, was maintaining my own wherewithal and presence and state of mind whenever I had some dark days with a board of directors and external factors that should not have had any bearing on things, but they did, and it turned the situation upside down, and everyone handled themselves professionally, but it was incredibly difficult during those dark days of, okay, what's next for me? Where do we go? What's the right decision here? Do I want to forge through this? Do you resign? What do you do? How do you handle it when tough times come? And so for me, what I wanted to do was I just chose to set the gold standard, do the right thing no matter what, and maintain my personal integrity whenever the integrity of either the organization or beyond is out of my control. I can only at that point do the best that I can do. And of course, it's like I shared, it's not what happens, it's how you handle it. And most people would take a bad situation and make it worse because they handle it wrong. They go off. They lose it. They let the fiery temper escape, and they let their tongue say things that they can't ever take back. And they can't put the bullets back in the chamber. Once it's been fired, it's fired. And so I wanted to make sure I monitored that. And that took a lot of self-control and discipline that really was outside of myself. And that was where a lot of the inspiration for the prompting came, because I understand what it's like for champions, whether it's a lot of professional athletes, whether it's politicians, whether it's CEOs, Bernie Madoff's, Tiger Woods, when they have made a mistake, when they have done wrong, and it may not be who they are, maybe it is, but a lot of times it's people that we have admired that do something
Right.
that cause us to lose faith and trust in them. What people don't understand is what those individuals go through. And so that's kind of what we've made the mission of helping them through that crisis, and then also helping society give them an alternative way to not bash, but how do we learn from that? What can they learn and apply outside of the gossip at the water fountain? What can they learn? How should we process this? And America struggles, and the world struggles with how to process whenever something that we thought was one way, when we're betrayed. A lot of times people have problems with coaches or school teachers or any authority figure in their life when they feel betrayed. And that's what happens, except on a much more public level.
Yeah, no, I think it's brilliant. It's a longer discussion, but one thing I learned a long time ago is if someone makes a mistake, your best return on investment is not to fire them.
Mark, I got to close with this. Whenever I had first opened up a company, we had several coffee shops. I had hired this girl. It was her first day. She was literally her first hour of training, and she was supposed to take samples of the coffee and the fraps and whatever down the mall and let people sample them and try them. Mm-hmm. She goes to the lady who owns a kiosk with some furniture, some cedar furniture. The lady says she wanted one. The girl trips. They were 1 ounce cups. The girl trips on her way there. One of the 1 ounces spills into one of the cedar chests. They cleaned it up. They came back. They ended up telling me about it. I went down about 30 minutes later, and I apologized profusely. Asked if there was something we could do to, if there's a special something they need, and she said no. It's just frustrating because someone's already bought it. They're picking it up here in a couple hours, but I've already got it cleaned up. And I said, okay, no problem. The very next day, the husband came in, wanted to meet. Bottom line, they wanted $200 to replace that one board that was about 3 foot by 1 foot wide, and once I realized it after about 2 minutes, I said, no problem. I pulled out the checkbook. I wrote them a $200 check, and I said, can I have that board when you're done with it? And he stumbled, and he got, well, yeah, because I do have to replace it, like I told you. And sure, fine, whatever. He gave me that board, and I had that board made into 2 serving trays where it has slots so that, A, no samples could ever spill again, but B, so that my staff would know that remember that story. Because I wanted them to know how we handle things back from a cultural perspective. And several other business owners in the mall told me, they said, oh man, I bet you fired her in a heartbeat. I said, absolutely not. She just learned a lesson. Why do I want her, that I paid $200 for, why do I want her to go take that lesson somewhere else?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I said. The best ROI is you keep them. And the best coach gets stands up for the player, and the player will do anything for them afterwards. So, great example. Thanks so much for sharing.